Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. Hard sports all plays. Network. Hard sports all plays. Network. We on top of our game. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays.
What's going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. I'm here with Jonathan. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
Hey, what's up, Nate the Great? I'm doing well, man. It's Friday. Happy Friday to all our viewers out there. Just sitting here, got the NBA game on and ready to talk some sports with you.
Yeah. So before we do all of that, we still have a couple of housekeeping stuff to do. Let's start it off with some Suzanne Paparazzi's jewelry.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
And then now the Misty Meadows. I just wanted to remind everybody that if you're out there, you're watching the show right now, and you want to win a free t-shirt, all you have to do is like the show, comment the show, be engaged in the show. The winner earns a free t-shirt. How that happens? We tile all the comments at the end. We add all the comments at the end, and the person that gets the most comments wins the free t-shirt. But say for a second, you're out there and you're listening to the show, you can't make the show, you're watching it late, whatever it is, it's $14.99 plus shipping and handling if you want a t-shirt, but you're not the viewer of the month or whatever. And the sizes go from small to 2XL. If it's, if you want to wear a 3XL, it's about $1 or $2 extra going up the size. So going right into the topics, we have a lot of things to cover. Especially in the NBA post NBA trade deadline, but there is one comparison. Who would you rather have, Allen Iverson or Kyrie Irving?
You know what? When you look at the statistics, and you know me, Nate, I'm not really a statistic guy when it comes to sports. All those statistics have a great meaning in a lot of these conversations. But Kyrie Irving had 22.7 points per game. Allen Iverson had 26.7 points per game. Kyrie Irving is, however, a better rebounder than Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson averaged more steals than Kyrie Irving. More assists per game, that belongs to Allen Iverson as well. So if I had to pick a point guard, I would go based on what the statistics tell me. I would go with Allen Iverson because he was an all-around star. He's won a league MVP. Now that's not to take away anything that Kyrie Irving has accomplished throughout his career, so far because look, the guy has great ball handling skills.
Yeah.
He might be the best ball handler in the league right now. There's no question about it. But when you look at both of their games, and if you want to compare the two, you would have to go with Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was a hell of a point guard. And that's no disrespect to Kyrie Irving, because I think Kyrie Irving's a great point guard. You know, I think if he put his drama aside, if we just ignore his prima donna antics and him behaving like a drama queen, if we put all that aside and we just look at what he does on the basketball court, he's a tremendous player, you know, by all means. But he's not greater than Allen Iverson. And I was fortunate enough to see Allen Iverson play his entire career. Simply amazing. One of the best point guards to ever do it. You know, Allen Iverson had a smooth jump shot, could cross you over, can get to the basket. He had nice hands as well. Just a tremendous player. Helped elevate everyone's game around him. Had a sensational career with the 76ers.
I mean, to be honest with you, I agree that it's 100% Allen Iverson. But, you know, looking at the stats here, with Kyrie Irving, when it comes to on a percentages standpoint, Kyrie leads, you know, in field goal, 3-point, and free throw percentage. But like looking at some of the other assists, total points, total rebounds, total assists, total steals, and, you know, that's all Allen Iverson. Now I get it that Allen Iverson has played longer. You know, I get it, but I'm going with Kyrie Irving on this. You know. But one other thing that I have to, you know, include on this, looking at the championship rings, I don't think that should be in discussion. To be completely honest with you, I don't think that should be in discussion when you're talking about who's better than who. Because Kyrie Irving has 1. Allen Iverson has 0. I don't think that the championships, and that goes for any sport, baseball, football, that is a team-based sport. I don't think championship wins should be in the top for that. Now, if you're talking tennis, you're talking other kind of stuff, tennis, that are single-based sports, then yes, I do think that championships should be in consideration.
Yeah, you know, and you make a good point there, but, you know, sometimes championships measure greatness, you know, and a lot of people do look at the number of titles that a player have won, you know, especially if we're comparing two players. One might have won a championship, the other one might have not. And sometimes people, when they base their opinions on how well a player has done in his career, they look at his championships, and sometimes they judge a player, you know, by how many championships he has, not necessarily what he's been able to achieve personally, you know. Now, I know it's different for me. I know in some people's opinions, championships mean everything, you know, but that, to me, that doesn't measure up to greatness. I mean, you could be the greatest player ever and not win a championship. We've seen it, especially in the NBA. I could name a lot of players who were just great and never won a championship. Charles Barkley is one of the most respectable and one of the best power forwards to ever play the game. Then you have Karl Malone, another one who came up empty and never won a championship. One of the greatest power forwards to ever play the game. The mailman delivered on so many occasions, but he's never won a championship. Reggie Miller is another one. The list goes on. Patrick Ewing. The list goes on. But, I mean, I think you're right here. You don't measure someone's greatness by the number of championships they won. You look at what they've done individually and the statistics and what they were able to accomplish as a player. And Allen Iverson definitely is deserving, of so much for what he was able to accomplish. And I do think he gets the slight edge over Kyrie Irving in this comparison.
Yeah,
I think it's a silly comparison though as well. And the reason I say that is because these guys played in two different eras. I mean,
that's true.
This is a totally different game now. It's an era where no one really plays defense. Everyone's defense seems a bit suspect. And no one really cares to, contest the shot. It's different. When Allen Iverson played, he had some tough battles some nights against guys who actually put a hand in his face and made every shot for him challenging. Kyrie Irving can drop 60 points easily if he's not having an off night, if his mental state is there. But Allen Iverson, man, he has some physical rough battles with opposing players over the years when he played in the NBA.
All right, so we're actually going to go on to the next topic. Out of all the moves that have happened yesterday, like the stuff that Orlando did, the stuff that Denver did, the stuff that Chicago did, stuff that Miami did, out of, any team that actually made a move yesterday, who won the NBA trade deadline?
You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the Clippers did. And I know people might think my opinion sounds crazy, but the reason I'm gonna go with the Clippers is because they landed Rajon Rondo. And the Lakers a year ago won a championship with Rajon Rondo on the team. I mean, if Rajon Rondo didn't come in and give that offense a spark and he wasn't able to help lift that team the way he did, there's a possibility that we would not be talking about the Lakers being defending champions this year. There's a great possibility that the Lakers could have lost early in the playoffs. They could have lost to the Denver Nuggets, maybe, even Houston. I think Rajon Rondo is a big pickup for the Clippers because they needed a point guard. They needed someone that can help move that ball because their offense got stagnant in the postseason a year ago, right? When they had that 3-1 lead in that series, right?
Yeah.
Their offense got a little stagnant, right? And I think what happened is that Kawhi Leonard, please, excuse me, and Paul George became a little fatigued, right? Because they had to handle the ball so much. They had to, run the ball up the court constantly, right? Well, now with Rajon Rondo, that takes the ball out of their hands, and that gives them a little bit more of a breather, right? And their defense won't suffer as much. Now Kawhi Leonard could focus more on defense and get back on defense and make plays with his hands, and everything. So I think this was a significant upgrade for the Clippers, and I think it'll make a huge difference, not only for their offense but their defense as well. Let's see what playoff Rondo is able to do, and let's see how well he benefits the Clippers. Because I think this was a great move. They needed a bona fide leader like Rajon Rondo, somebody who's experienced, someone who is seasoned, and that is definitely playoff Rondo. So I think that was a great trade, and I think they won.
For me, I'm going to go with two different teams, and one of them is a homer pick, being a huge Denver Nuggets fan. I got to go with them. Now, I do think that we would have better luck if we went with Norman Powell instead of Aaron Gordon. I feel like that would have been a better fit for our team. And I do feel like Aaron Gordon would be a better fit for Portland. But that being said, getting Aaron Gordon is definitely a better improvement on because we were lacking defense heading up to this point. We had like a lot of people who can shoot, but just not a lot of people who can defend. Getting in Aaron Gordon, getting JaVale McGee from Cleveland Cavaliers, that definitely can help, especially the JaVale McGee trade, since he's not going to be a starter for us. He's going to be on the backup coming from the bench, and I do think that's going to help us a lot, getting us a good backup, solid center, and that good veteran presence in that on the team. Now for Miami, getting Victor Oladipo, a team that probably that Miami Victor probably does not want to go away from, because he wanted to leave, Houston and all this kind of stuff, and he basically, what Houston did yesterday is the definition that I can think of bombing their franchise. I keep joking about this because of all that kind of stuff going on in Houston right now. I feel like the Titans need to go back to Houston just to make that city relevant again. Because with all the stuff going with the Houston Texans and Houston Rockets are just in a big mess, man, that city when it comes to sports is just been crazy. So those are my two teams that I think won. Do you have anything to say on to that?
I think, Victor Oladipo is a short term fix for the Miami Heat. Only because he could be a free agent at the end of the year, you know, and he could walk from that team. But you know what? I think it's great for them because it adds more scoring. Now they get another shooter. Now Jimmy Butler finally has some help, and that's not to disrespect anyone else on that team, because I feel like they have quality role players. They have Tyler Hero. They have Duncan Robinson. I mean, they have guys that could put up points, but they still needed another superstar that could run the floor with Jimmy Butler. And I think for at least the rest of the season, he's a good short-term fix for them. I think he fits in well in Miami. And let's see if they can now, string together some victories and come out of the East. It's going to be tough because you look at what the Sixers are doing, and the Bucks are still up there as well. 29-14. I'm looking at their record right now on the TV, second in the East. So they still got teams in front of them that they're going to have to compete against, but they showed last year that they can play pretty well against some of the best competition out there.
I keep joking around about this when I was on Real Talk, but I had like shreds of paper that I just went like this because, Houston and Denver, not Houston, Denver, Miami and Denver got their pieces for basically nothing. Our biggest name that we lost was probably Gary Harris for the Denver Nuggets. So, now going in and getting away from some basketball talk, we're going actually right into Arizona Cardinals. With their new additions, getting in an AJ Green from Cincinnati, getting in with all this kind of key players, JJ Watt. Now I will have to get asked though, is how far with these key additions do you think the Cardinals will go?
Well, I think the Rams are more the attractive team. I think they're the team to beat in the NFC West right now, only because they upgraded tremendously at their quarterback position by trading for Matthew Stafford, and he has better protection there. So I think they'll finish first place in the division, and second place, I think the Cardinals will, with all their upgrades this offseason and their off-season additions. I think that would help tremendously. AJ Green could have a bounce back year with the Cardinals. He finally has someone that can throw him the football. A guy who has shown that he's proven at that position, which is Kyler Murray, who was just sensational last season. And then, of course, you have Larry Fitzgerald, who's going to be Larry Fitzgerald. You have DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yes, who is a top 5 receiver at best in the league. And then you have a veteran on defense now who's teaming up with Chandler Wilson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. You have your two-headed monsters anchoring that defense. So, yes, it's going to be a team that's going to have – they're going to have a better year, I think. They have more star power now. They improved in every area, it seems, both defensively and offensively. So it wouldn't be a surprise to even see the Cardinals get a wild card spot with all the pieces that they have now.
Whoa.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Russell Wilson is the best quarterback. They'll win it again. Cards will go 5-11, and Kingsbury is on the hot seat. No. Adding in that Matthew Stafford there, that's a more of an arguable conversation about who's better, Matthew Stafford or Russell Wilson. But you also got to look at Russell Wilson here. Now, if my hot take that I said, a while back comes true about Russell Wilson, that the media is overreacting on the Russell Wilson scenario, and I don't think he's actually going to go at all. Period. I think he's going to stay with the Seahawks. If that is true, then I do think Arizona will finish third in their division, but get 10 wins.
Yeah, but see, look, at this point, he's going to stay in Seattle. Russell Wilson is not going anywhere at this point. I don't see it happening. It would have happened by now. But there's infighting chaos, it seems. In that locker room, it seems like he's unhappy, that he's a disgruntled quarterback at this point. He even came out and said that he doesn't have that much protection. He already expressed his frustration with that. And it seems that Seattle has not addressed that need, so he's going to take some more hits this season. He's going to get roughed up a bit if that offensive line is not sturdy enough to provide the protection that is needed for a quarterback to buy time, to be able to scramble, to be able to find an open target, So, I mean, I really don't know the state of the Seattle Seahawks. I just think it's going to be tougher for them, knowing that a player's frustration can not only create a distraction, but it can also, lead to a player performing poorly on the football field. I hope that's not the case for Wilson, but there's just a lot going on with that franchise right now.
And I also wanted to point out the reason why I made that hot take is that all he's really, really trying to do, he's not trying to leave, but I think all he really is trying to do is recruit players to join his team. He did that with Antonio Brown. He tried to get Antonio Brown to join the Seattle Seahawks before he signed another term with Tampa Bay, or he might have still been on that term. I don't know. But he's still returning. He's going to be returning to Tampa Bay. Breaking news, actually. Everybody, all 22 members on that offense and defense will be returning for this next season. So,
oh yes, they just re-signed Leonard Fournette to a 1-year deal. Yeah.
So everybody's going to be coming back. Now, special teams, that's different. I don't know if there's been any moves on that side, but everybody on the offense and defense will be returning. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Let's actually go into the next topic. And besides, I actually kind of skipped overlooked one, to be honest with you. Going back a little bit to the NBA, you're a big Lakers fan. So, the next topic is that did the Lakers make a mistake not trading for Kyle Lowry?
No, and here's why. The Raptors, for one, they wanted too much. They wanted Dennis Schroeder. They wanted KCP. Those two guys are critical to our offense once AD and LeBron gets back because they complement them well, right? And Dennis Schroeder can shoot the basketball. He's a decent shooter, He's one heck of a shooter, especially when he gets going offensively. He's a streaky shooter, and so is KCP. And KCP kind of helped us, get to where they got to last year as well. So no, I think for a guy who's going into his final year in his contract, who is in the final year of his contract, that's just too much. Kyle Lowry could have easily walked at the end of the season. I think they would have only had him as a rental, and they would have only brought him in because their two superstars are injured, right? Both LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Now, if both of those guys were healthy, the Lakers wouldn't even been in talks for a potential trade. They wouldn't even been linked to Kyle Lowry. He wouldn't even been linked to the Lakers. So it's a bit surprising to hear that he's staying, but it's not surprising that he didn't land with the Lakers. And no, I think it would have been I don't want to say a dumb trade, but I think it would have been a trade that the Lakers would have regretted later on, if they made that move. Because then they would have mortgaged some of their future and perhaps given up a player that could have been more crucial maybe in the long term down the stretch.
For my point that I'm trying to make here with this, I've been saying this for quite a while. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Raptors streak without Kyle Lowry. I just don't trust Kyle Lowry. I just don't know what it is. Probably the streak, to be honest with you. But I will say this though. I was listening to the radio and they point out something relating towards the Kyle Lowry trade. They said, well, not towards the Kyle Lowry trade, but towards the NBA trade deadline period. They said that you'll find out, there's going to be some offers that are joke offers just to pick fun of another team. Now, as soon as that later on yesterday, as soon as that happened, I'm trying to find the report just to show everybody, but there was a report that the Lakers offered LeBron James to Toronto for Kyle Lowry, but Toronto declined. As I don't know if it was a joke. Lakers were joking around about that. That's all I was just reading. So looking at that side, looking at that side of things, looking at both sides of the situation, Lakers, if they were dead serious about that's just a completely dumb move. Not, even though LeBron is hurt, what if what Freddie has been saying about him coming back before playoffs hit, what if that comes true? And now he's going to be doing that for Toronto.
Right. He could possibly lead that team to the finals. This LeBron freaking James, for crying out loud, It seems like he has that Midas touch. I don't believe that. I don't buy into that rumor I think it's ridiculous to even bring something like that up. I'm not saying you particularly, Nate. I'm saying the people who created this ridiculous rumor. I think it's utter nonsense. There's no chance that LeBron is gonna leave the Lakers at this point. Not in the back end of his career. Not when he brought this city a championship. He's a valued piece to the Los Angeles Lakers now. That's just utter silliness. There's no way the Lakers are going to trade him. He is, their foundation at this point in his career. I know he's 36 years old, but he still has a lot left in the tank. He married into the Laker family. I think Laker fans accepted him the night when he took the mic and gave that heartfelt speech, in the wake of Kobe's death. I think he, won over the city that night, personally. And, he helped the Lakers bring another championship. Now, will he be glorified the way Kobe and Shaq were? No. Would he be glorified the way Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic were? No, because he won't be here long enough to solidify his legacy in LA. Now, would this championship that he won a year ago solidify his legacy? Absolutely. It will solidify his legacy. He's a 4-time NBA champion now, 4-time MVP. So it definitely solidifies his legacy, but it doesn't earn him the elite status. Like it doesn't earn him the elite status that the other Laker stars get before him, because they were here longer. They done it for the majority of their career in a Laker uniform. LeBron, this is his third NBA team, so, there you go right there. But I just think that I just don't – I'm going to sit here and say I debunk that rumor. I think it's utterly atrocious, and I think it's irresponsible, and it's a misleading report.
To be honest with you, that I think really that if that was true, which again I'm agreeing with you, if that was a true rumor, I think it was more of a poke fun rumor. To be honest with you, just for the Lakers to poke fun at the Toronto Raptors. To be honest with you, now going in and talking about the next topic, going back to the NFL side because I accidentally skipped over that topic. You have guys like Derrick Henry. You have guys like Dalvin Cook. You have guys like Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey. In your eyes, looking at that situation, who will be the best 2021 running back next season?
That's tough. I really like Ezekiel Elliott to have a bounce back year. I think he's out. I think he's really out to prove his doubters wrong. There was a lot said about him, how he didn't perform well last season, how he disappeared, that he's now all of a sudden a washed up running back who would never, measure up to the greatness of Emmitt Smith, because he got those comparisons, right, in his rookie season and everything. I think he's going to have a bounce back year, and I think he's definitely the running back to watch out for. I think his presence alone would help solidify that Cowboys offense. I think it will also take a lot of pressure off of Dak Prescott. And I think if they are able to establish a running game through a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, I think the Cowboys will have a much better year, and they'll be able to be more productive offensively. But I do think that Ezekiel Elliott is going to have a more productive year. I think he's coming back healthy and stronger. and I think he still has the ability to be an effective running back. He definitely has the skill set of a running back. He definitely has the speed. He has the stamina. He has the firepower, and he plays with a great sense of urgency as well. We've seen it before, so I think this is his year to do something amazing for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think after that offense looked a bit stagnant last year, I think they're going to look more electrifying this year with the leadership of Dak Prescott and with Ezekiel Elliott's running ability.
Yeah, looking at so I will have to say this though. I'm a guy, since I live over here in Texas, I'm a Denver Broncos fan who likes to watch, I do root for the Cowboys, but that's only because they are the local team. That's not, there's nothing else that implies to this other than that they are the local team. But looking at the Cowboys situation going into next year, they brought in a Mike McCarthy that does not like to use his running backs. That's just it. He does not like to use his running backs. The running backs back in Green Bay that he had did not get as many touches as they probably should. And looking at Dallas, Ezekiel Elliott had an awful year last year. Now, part of it was because of that offensive line, but part of that is because of that coaching scheme. I do think Dallas is going to be in the mess, and if I had to predict way too early record for this team, I say way too early because the draft hasn't come yet. Then I would say 6-10. 6 wins, 10 losses for the Dallas Cowboys next season.
6-10. You got to remember too, they could still get a wild card spot or even clinch that division because they're in the division that no one really knows how to predict it. Because all those teams are kind of like average teams or below average, so we really don't know what to expect from any of them. Really, so it's kind of hard to predict a division winner, in the NFC East. But I'm gonna go with the Cowboys only because of their offense and I think Dak Prescott is out to impress a lot of people next season along with Ezekiel Elliott. But back to what you were saying, no, their coach Mike McCarthy is not big on the running game. But you got to remember, too, he had Aaron freaking Rodgers in Green Bay, and he didn't really have an Ezekiel Elliott. Now he has a guy who he can trust in and give more touches because he's a top tier running back in the league. Now it's different with Dak Prescott, because Dak Prescott is not nearly on the same level as Aaron Rodgers. So maybe, that might convince Mike McCarthy to change things up a bit and get more creative offensively and maybe run the ball a little bit more, because you don't really have that traditional quarterback like you did in Green Bay. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Dak Prescott, but you get what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. You have a power runner who can, manipulate things offensively for you and who could, gain a chunk of yards and make it easier for your quarterback. Then, put the ball in his hands and let him do something. So I think Mike McCarthy would, kind of be more lenient and let up a bit and let Ezekiel Elliott go to work.
Yeah, but if I had to pick a hot, I'm going to go off of a sleeper pick for when it comes to running backs this year. I got to go with Jonathan Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts. He definitely, looking at his situation, He definitely was, great coming out of last year, this rookie season. He has one of the best offensive lines in the league. His quarterback arguably is really underrated. Probably top 2 most underrated quarterbacks in the league. The only person I can argue over Carson is Matthew Stafford. And they have a really solid. The Indianapolis Colts really have a great system over there. And I'm just gonna say this right now. I think that the Colts are gonna make it all the way to the Super Bowl. I do think they're gonna finish second in that conference behind Kansas City, but I think they are. My early Super Bowl picks are Rams and Colts.
Wow. Well, I like what Frank Wright has been able to do as far as transforming that offense, because he's an offensive-minded coach and he's good at grooming quarterbacks. And I think he will help. With Carson Wentz a lot. I think this is a chance for him to revitalize his game. And if he can resurrect his game, it's through Frank Wright, because Frank Wright has worked with him in the past and he's familiar with his game and he could tweak things up a bit. And hopefully Carson Wentz can stay healthy. Jonathan Taylor has shown flashes of maturity, and he has shown off his speed early in his career. And their defense has gotten better even. Their defense is better, particularly their secondary. They're pretty deep. T.Y. Hilton has re-signed with the team. So the Colts have a lot of tools and weapons. I just don't see them getting to the Super Bowl. Not just yet.
Yeah, I get it. You said that he's been with Frank Wright before. And that was when Frank Wright was the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles back the year that Eagles did win the Super Bowl. He was great, with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz did go down with a season-ending injury, and then Nick Foles came in and did a fantastic job. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Both guys that are starting a new year in their respective teams. Both quarterbacks that got traded. Well, I say both, but 2 out of the 3 quarterbacks that got traded are probably going to the Super Bowl this year. I get that Tampa Bay has all the same pieces that they've had last year when Tampa Bay made it and won the whole thing. But Kansas City had majority of their pieces last year, and they did not do as well as they did not do great in the Super Bowl. That offensive line is what really killed them last year in the Super Bowl. Now, granted, I don't think it was their fault, because you had guys that opted out and you had guys that were injured. But my point that I guess I'm trying to say is they've been there for a year. So teams in that division, like the Carolina Panthers, that I think might be, even if they're not a playoff team, I do think that they're going to improve this year. A team like the Falcons, who honestly were 1 score away from being a 9-7, having a 9-7, 10-6 seed, because there were definitely games where it was difference by 1 score. And like the Saints have 1 loss without Drew Brees, and as part of that system ever since Drew Brees ever since the past couple of years, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. You know what? I got lost there. You got to catch me up to speed.
Okay.
I got lost that quick.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because they're in the same system as last year.
Yeah.
I feel like people are going to catch on and figure out how to beat them pretty easily.
You, you know what? You might be onto something, but hey, it's Tom Brady. I can't bet against the guy anymore. I mean, you always when it seems like he's at the tail end of his career, he peaks once again. When we think he's done, he's not done. He just responds to everyone who has doubted him, who has said that his career is over, that he has reached the end of his career. And what does he do? He ends up guiding the team back to the Super Bowl and winning another Super Bowl. So, I mean, I wouldn't bet against Tom Brady and that offense again. Remember, everyone is returning to Tampa Bay. So they basically have the same team that they had last season, right? They have the same coach. They have the same, coaching staff. They have the same offense. They have the same defense. And if there's one thing that we need to pay attention to more, that deserves more credit, that didn't get as much credit because of who led that offense, which was Tom Brady, it's the defense. It's Tampa Bay's defense. That defense was stout. That defense was, amazing last season. I think that defense, helped them get to the Super Bowl. That defense was able to catapult that team to the Super Bowl. So they're bringing back all their defensive players. They still have Devin White coming back, who was tremendous. He was able to put a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. He was sensational at rushing quarterbacks. He's coming back. Shaquille Barrett is coming back. I mean, they got all their defensive weapons coming back. Murphy Bunting, he's going to be in that secondary. He was remarkable as well. So, I mean, Tampa Bay is my favorites to win it all next year.
So going on to the next topic. Let's talk a little bit about Green Bay with their scenario going on. Aaron Rodgers has been in 2 back-to-back off seasons rumored to be traded to a different team. Do you think that's actually going to happen next year? And if so, where?
After this season, I could see him getting traded. It's rare that a player finishes his entire career with one team. Usually in the NFL, the quarterback does finish out his career with one team because usually the quarterback is a franchise player, so he usually stays his entire career there. This is a totally different situation for Aaron Rodgers. It seems like Aaron Rodgers is at, his days are numbered in Green Bay. I think after this season, they will look to trade him. I think they will turn it over to the Jordan Love era, just like they did with Brett Favre, right? They pushed him out of the door. They're gonna do the same thing to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's just the Green Bay Packers for you, man. That's been their organization for years. They're the only NFL team that's publicly owned. They're known for this, right? They're known for pushing quarterbacks out of the door when they feel like they have reached the end of their careers, when they feel like there's nothing more that quarterback or that player can offer. So they are willing to move on. And I can see that happening. I don't know where he'll end up. There's always teams that need a quarterback. Good quarterbacks nowadays are in short supply. So there'll be a team that'll be looking for quarterbacks in the near future. I'm not too sure where he'll end up. How about the Saints maybe if they don't get that quality production out of Taysom Hill or Jameson Winston? I mean, that could be a preferable destination for him, right? That's one team. Maybe Seattle if things don't work out with Russell Wilson in the near future there. Maybe the Chicago Bears, since they keep missing out on a franchise quarterback, since they weren't able to get that dream player that they had in mind, which was Russell Wilson. It didn't happen for him. They settled for Andy Dalton, signed him to a 1-year deal. So maybe he ends up with the Bears in the future. I mean, there's a number of teams that will be on Aaron Rodgers' radar and be looking for a quarterback, even though he is going into his age 37 year after this season.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Before the news broke today about what happened with the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Dolphins with those trade draft spots, I honestly thought 49ers were in the front run to go and get an Aaron Rodgers, not this season but next season. I thought that maybe they'd do something, maybe keep Jimmy Garoppolo for a year, or maybe go out and get some sort of bridge quarterback to try to get Aaron Rodgers maybe next year or something.
And the 49ers would be an ideal fit for him. The reason being is because he's from the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. So I think he wouldn't mind finishing his career close to home. He played his college ball at Cal Berkeley. So, I mean, hey, maybe that's one way you can end your career is finishing with the 49ers and the team you grew up rooting for.
Yeah, and but that was until the pick swaps earlier today. That was until the pick swaps. Now, I see one or two teams making it. And yes, one of them is a homer take. Because I'm a big Denver Broncos fan. I can see if that next year's quarterback situation doesn't come up. I can see us getting Aaron Rodgers. I don't see us drafting a quarterback a lot because we have not been a great team at drafting QBs. We're just not. There's only been one quarterback that has ever won a playoff game off of a guy that we've drafted, and he's only won one. Just an interesting stat for you. Tim Tebow is the only quarterback that we've drafted that's won a playoff game, and he's only won one. That's just to tell you how bad that we've been at drafting quarterbacks. Now, most of the guys that we've made it to Super Bowls off of played in a different team before. Peyton Manning played with the Colts. John Elway, even though he didn't play with the Colts, he was drafted by the Colts. And Greg Morton drafted and played with the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm getting off topic here, but my point is, we successfully have not been great at drafting QBs. Now, New Orleans needs a new quarterback for the future. So that's why I could see that happening too. Now, we do have 7 more minutes. And since I brought it up, why don't we talk about that? Who do you think won the pick swap trades today with Philly, San Francisco, and Miami?
Oh, you know what? I think the Dolphins got stronger.
Yeah.
They were the smartest ones in the trade. I think they built for their future. They're set for the future. And I think the Dolphins are going to be a team to watch out in the next few years because they won that swap for sure. I mean, it was a blockbuster deal as well, and I think they got the most out of it, big time.
Yeah, they basically turned a Houston Texans number 3 overall pick onto 4 draft picks. That's basically what they did. I like that. Mm-hmm. I like what all 3 teams did, even though if I had to rank all 3, I think it would be Miami, then San Francisco, and Philly. But I like what Philly did because they got a higher draft pick in advance because Philly pretty much needs everything except for a quarterback. Now
they desperately need wide receivers, Philly.
Yes. They need a new They need a new O-line. They need some people who I think their biggest priority is needing to get some people who can stay healthy. Yeah, looking into, I know I keep saying this a lot, looking into last year, Carson Wentz is the only quarterback in NFL history who has thrown for over 4,000 passing yards and has caught, and his receivers have not caught more than 300 yards. It's because of how many receivers he's thrown guys to, passes he's thrown guys to, balls to. So we have 5 more minutes. Do you have an NCAA March Madness, either men's or women's, doesn't matter, hot take?
Yeah, the Pac-12 has been interesting. They got 4 teams that reached the Sweet 16. I think you got to look out for UCLA, USC. Evan Mobley is playing tremendous basketball right now. They are well coached by Andy Enfield, who has recruited, top-tier talent for that university. And then you got UCLA. Mick Cronin has done a good job. At first, I didn't know about that hire. I wasn't too sure about it. I had a lot of questions about that hire. But, hey, it's looking to be a good one. He has come in there and he's doing his very best to get that program back to national prominence. They have returned to relevance, it seems. Campbell is the guy that has the Bob Marley hairdo. He has been a solid guard for them. They got playmakers on that team. UCLA is amazing. They have climbed the mountain. I'm interested to see that matchup against Alabama. I think that's going to be one hell of a game. I'm going to go with the upset and say UCLA will beat Alabama in the upset. That's
wow. So my hot take is, even though I have Baylor versus Massachusetts as my final championship matchup, if I had to pick a sleeper team to go all the way and win it, it would probably be Houston. Houston as my sleeper team. That's my hot take. Because I like what they've been doing lately in the bracket. So, that being said, any final comments before we give this a close?
Yeah, the Lakers desperately need a win tonight. They can't further embarrass themselves, especially when they have Cleveland coming in tonight. No way can the Lakers afford to lose this game. They look troubling right now, and they're continuing to fall in the standings. It's not a good look for the Lakers. The Lakers desperately need a win tonight. That is my final thoughts.
So, with all that being said, with all that being said, I don't have anything other than the next show. I was going to do these lead-ins like I keep saying. The next show right after this, in 2 minutes, will be the hockey show, What the Puck. Now, we've seen Ace's answers for these. We've heard Chris's answers. I think we've even heard Greg's answers on this. But we're going to hear my answers tonight on who I think will win the Stanley Cup. So stay tuned in for that. And everyone, have a great remaining of your day.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great, I ain't